Good afternoon, good morning, everyone, wherever you happen to find yourself. My name is Carmen Yetzi-Mazzara. I serve as Executive Director of APSIA, the Association of Professional Schools of International Affairs. Patty's rubbing it in that it's beautiful in Hawaii. Thanks, Patty. We're so pleased to have you here for this advisor webinar with our colleagues from MercyCorps, where they can share some information with you about their internship program that's specifically for students like yours. And we're really happy to have so many of you here with us to learn more about it as part of APSIA's ongoing series to hopefully make it easy and inviting for you and your students to come be a part of the international affairs space. With that in mind, I'm going to turn the floor over to Christine Wilson. She has some slides for us, but as we go through, if you have questions or things you definitely want to leave this session talking about, please put them in the chat box, and we'll that way make sure that we get you the most information that we can that will be of use to you and your students. So with that, Christine, please.
Thank you so much. We're big friends of APSIA, so we're always happy to be here. And even though we're in this kind of Twilight Zone pandemic world, it's always good to see people's virtual faces out there or pictures of their beautiful faces. So we're so happy to be here virtually. So as Carmen said, I'm Christine. So I oversee our global internship program at MercyCorps. And I have two fearless ladies in crime that are here with me. So I'll let Brittany and James introduce themselves as well, a little bit about what they do at MercyCorps. And then after that, we'll come back to me, and I'd love to learn more about you guys too. Take it away, maybe Brittany's first.
Sure. Good to be with you all. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Brittany Mabry. I am a Vista leader at MercyCorps Northwest, which is part of MercyCorps Global. I would have loved to have found out about MercyCorps through one of you all's programs. So I think that this, this engagement is very, very appropriate, and very glad to be with you all, and here to back up Christine, answer any questions if I can be of support, and just glad to be in the space. Hand it over to James.
Go for it, James.
Hi, all. Excited to be here. I'm James Harvey. I'm the Talent Operations Officer at MercyCorps. I help Christine administer the intern program and also oversee talent operations for our global team, and do a little bit of project management in my role as well. That's a little about me.
Thanks, James. And as I was telling Carmen right before you guys all came in, I really would just love to keep this really open, kind of like a round table, because I'm really curious about you guys too, and where you're coming from, and what you guys are really looking for. We love Texas people. Hello, Texas. Hi. I'm originally from Kansas, so anyone in the tornado strip, I totally love. That's my home zone. But yeah, I'll tell you guys just a little bit more about MercyCorps. It seems like maybe you guys know a little bit because you're here. But MercyCorps is an international development and humanitarian aid organization, and we work in about 42 different countries around the world. And a really big kind of central ethos of our mission is just community-led work. So in those 42 countries, about 90% of our workforce is people working in their own communities, which is really important to us to allow local communities in all of our countries around the world to really lead the work going on locally. And we try to come in more as resources or gasoline behind them, but we really truly let them lead in whatever context that looks like. And that even overlaps to our small little footprint here in the United States with MercyCorps Northwest. It's really a very community-driven effort. That's where Brittany works, and she's a leader there. So really, whether it's in the United States or in our 42 countries around the world, we really are built on that community-led model. So I don't want to go too much into depth because I want to focus on the internship program. But what I really am going to dive in on, since this is about, you guys are all from minority serving institutions, is really going to focus on our diversity partnerships that MercyCorps has developed over the last year and a half. So we started in August 2019 building an HBCU pipeline, internship pipeline. So we started out with about 10 really close partners, HBCU partners, and we developed exclusive internships for students from those 10 HBCUs. And that's expanded now to the full 107 HBCUs. And that program has been really a breakthrough for us and really successful, with 77% of our US interns in the fall being HBCU students. So we're really proud of that. Took a lot of hard work. It was definitely not just me. It was with the collaboration of our HBCU alums, of which Brittany is one, and a lot of continued work from our HBCU alums helping to develop and lead it. So we use that kind of as a central model. And since then, thank you for the claps. I always just love the little like claps and hands raised. So I'm all about that, you guys. But yeah, we've used that HBCU talent pipeline model to now start developing a Latinx HSI pipeline, a similar pipeline. And then we're hoping over the next year to 2 years to continue to develop these MSI pipelines. So that's kind of what I'm going to focus on here, since I believe that's what you guys have most interest in, and really where the global internship program has been developing the most, and where we really want to continue to develop and continue to grow. So with that, before I show you I was going to show you a few infographics about our MercyCorps internship program, but I'd love to first kind of hear who's out there. It seems like we have a small enough group. I'd love to just go around and hear who's out there, whoever wants to be brave and go first. Maybe just what your role is at your university, and what university or college you're from. That would be great.
Hi, my name is Mary Johnson, Dr. Mary Johnson. I am the executive assistant to the chancellor at the Southern University Law Center in Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
That's great. Welcome. We're so happy to have you.
My sister is a Jaguar.
Hey, I can't think of a better one. I recognize that name. I said, I've heard that name before. Great.
Happy to have you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Sharon Davis. I am from Allen University, and I'm the placement coordinator.
Great. Thank you. Welcome. Welcome.
Hello, everybody. Go ahead, Kathy.
Hi, I'm Kathy Graham. I am the Career Services Center Coordinator at Jarvis Christian College in Hopkins, Texas.
Sorry.
No worries. Which is near Tyler, about 100 miles from, what's that closest city?
Dallas.
Dallas. I'm originally from North Carolina, okay?
We're so happy to have you, whether you're in Texas or North Carolina or wherever you might be. So we're happy to have you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Ches Talley. I'm also at Jarvis Christian College. I had the pleasure of attending a APSIA event in Dallas about, I guess, maybe 5 years ago. And it was really great. And so I'm happy to be here. And I've been to Kansas when I was in kindergarten. And driving in the car with my dad, and I started to sing The Wizard of Oz. And he was like, "Why are you singing The Wizard of Oz?" And I said, "There's a tornado in the field."
It's true.
Nice to meet y'all. Yeah.
Nice to have you.
Hello, everyone. I am Rachel Townsend. I'm the internship coordinator at Fayetteville State University in North Carolina.
That's great. Thank you. 2 North Carolina natives here. That's wonderful. Who wants to go next?
I'll go next. My name is Casey Robertson. I'm the admin for the Political Science Department at Santa Clara University in California. And I just love Carmen and everything that she provides for students. So I'm excited to learn more about MercyCorps so I could share it with our majors.
Great, thanks.
I guess that leaves me. Oh, sorry, you can go ahead.
Okay, my name is Patty Dunn. I'm from the University of Hawaii at Manoa. I do academic services for our Asian Studies program. And right behind me is a poster done by one of my favorite artists who's based in San Francisco. His name is Martin Su, and he provided it to be used as a Stop Asian Hate poster.
Very cool and very time appropriate. That's awesome. Also, I'm very jealous you're in Hawaii, that too.
How y'all doing? I'm Marquez Mitchell. I'm currently a senior at Winston-Salem State University. I just thought I'd come listen in between classes.
That's great. We're happy to have you. Welcome.
Hi, I'm Suzanne Grossman. I direct career services for Baruch College's Mark School of Public and International Affairs. And I work with MPA students and MIA students.
Oh, I'm so happy you're here. I lived in New York for 13 years. I went to NYU and kind of never left. So that's how I got from Kansas to New York. So I'm so excited to have Baruch here. That makes me really happy.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hi, everybody. I'm Marnie Smith. I work with Suzanne, also at Baruch in the same program.
Welcome.
Hi, I'm Amy Hedgepeth, and I'm the director of the Experiential Learning and Career Development Center here at Shaw University, another North Carolina school downtown Raleigh. Happy to be here.
Yay, thank you. Is that everybody? It seems like that was a lot of people. Did we miss anyone?
Tamara said she's having trouble coming off mute, but she wanted to give also a shout out to North Carolina, even though now she's at Valencia College.
Great.
Funding. I think the state of North Carolina should give us funding for this event. It's like some sort of alumni meeting. But Brianna, I don't think also had a chance.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I don't have video on my desktop that I'm on today, but my name is Brianna Jeter Davis. I'm from Central State University's Office of Career Services, and I'm here to listen and learn today.
Great, thank you guys. I think that's everyone with the except, or everyone that at least can say hi and pipe up. So it's so good. I always love to hear who's out there, where you guys are coming from, what you guys are interested in. So again, I want to keep this as much as possible of a round table, but I am going to show you a few quick slides, infographics about MercyCorps and about our internship program, just to kind of answer some of the questions that come up over and over again. And then we'll just come back together, and I'd really just love to hear what you guys are interested in, what's important to you at your schools, what you guys are looking for, what kind of challenges you're having, and we'll go from there, if that sounds good. All right, I'm really, just bear with me as I get my presentation started. Even though I've done this 1,000 times, I'm weirdly bad at it, so don't laugh at me. So give me just 1 second to share screen. Oh. Okay, are you guys seeing a welcome screen? Okay, cool, great. Well, I always start with the screen because I feel like this is one of my very favorite photos that represents really who MercyCorps is, really at our core. So this is actually several years old now. I think it's from like 2017. But this was a group of interns that were in Uganda, MercyCorps interns that were in Uganda. And there's actually, you know, a good number of interns in there. It's just that there was such an integration with the village that they were working in during their internship that they really just look like one happy, you know, connected community. And I really love it. And that's really who MercyCorps strives to be, and definitely who our MercyCorps internship program strives to be. So I always start out with this one because it's one of my very favorites. So this is the dashboard that I was talking about, or the infographic I was talking about. And I know there's like, whoa, a lot of numbers and a lot of words and a lot of information on it. But I do think it's a good snapshot of what the MercyCorps internship program is. So this was literally a picture of our numbers right before COVID started. And it's really when the program's running, you know, at full force and we aren't in the middle of a pandemic, this is really a good idea of who we are. So we usually have between 300 and 350 interns around the world every year. So that includes our US interns, our European interns, what we call our international interns. So if there was a US intern that was, you know, in Kenya or in Lebanon, they'd be an international intern. And then our national interns, so interns working in their own countries. So we put them all together. It's one big program. Everyone collaborates and works together when the program is, again, running at full speed. So all of those numbers are kind of representative of all 4 of those intern groups, all working together. And then, and kind of there's little, you know, there's other portions in the infographic, but we'll zoom in on those like this. So a big part of our internship program is that all of our internships are completely paid. that might look a little different from one country to the next, of course, based on local labor law, but that's again a really important equity point for us at MercyCorps of really, again, living our mission, living our values. So it's really important that we feel that all of our interns are paid fairly and paid equitably, no matter where they're working with us. And this won't apply to you guys as much, but I think it's important, again, just to see how much value MercyCorps puts on local communities. So for our national internships, so interns working in their own countries, we have almost as many national interns as we do US, European, and international. So that's, again, something we're really proud of. It's a big backbone of our agency and of our talent bench. So in this case, you can see that Africa was leading the way with national interns. They had 85, which is so many. And that's really also kind of reflective of, there's a huge tech boom going on in Africa, especially East Africa, with a lot of young African entrepreneurs. So we've really tapped into that with our national internship program. So that was a reflection of that, again, right before COVID hit, but a lot of that has continued on through the pandemic as well. And this is kind of a quick snapshot of all the areas that we usually have internships in. You can see, again, tech entrepreneurship like leading the way, and a lot of that is East Africa and also in the Middle East. There's a lot of tech entrepreneurship opportunities for internships and entry level, and that leads a lot of the work we do. So that's why you see such a crazy big number. And then the rest of those sectors are other sectors that are, you know, pretty common for international development, but we take a lot of students with a lot of different backgrounds who are interested in those areas. So it's, you know, a lot of undergrads or even graduate students maybe don't have like an exact major that is like surrounding climate change or policy and advocacy, but anything that's adjacent or touches that, or even just a real hunger to learn, is something that we really capitalize on and something we really encourage. So we don't want people to be scared away just by all of these specific sector names. And then, kind of as I alluded to a minute ago, so a big backbone of the MercyCorps internship program is paying all of our interns. Because of course, as you guys all know, there's a huge connection between paid internships and fostering environments for diversity. So when I came to the internship program about 4.5 years ago, I was like you guys, I worked in New York at a university in Manhattan. And I was on the higher ed side, and I came into MercyCorps, and the very first thing I saw that was really important was that all of our internships really needed to be paid. We really couldn't expand diversity pipelines or partnerships until all of our internships were paid globally. So that was kind of the first foundation that we used to springboard into the creation of these diversity partnerships we have. And this kind of is, again, goes hand in hand, a mirror of that. So all of our internships are competitively recruited. That's, again, really important to us so that we get the most diverse and high-performing talent globally, and that they're paid, again, equitably. So all of that goes hand in hand for us. And then this is another more zoomed-in infographic that reflects the HBCU pipelines I was talking about. So as I briefly mentioned kind of at the beginning, in August 2019, we started to design HBCU pipelines with 10 different HBCU partners. And it was me designing those along with some really closely collaborating HBCU alums at MercyCorps. So our first 10 HBCUs, which you can kind of, it's sort of little print, but you can sort of see that on the lower left-hand side, were Hampton, Spelman, Florida A&M, Howard, Morgan State University, North Carolina A&T, Delaware State, and Lincoln. Those were kind of based on the already existing relationships that our HBCU alums had, either from their own schools or friends or family. So it really did kind of start as a grassroots kind of effort that we created these pipelines. And we really worked on them. We built the relationships out. It took, honestly, about a year to really get them ready and launched, and that we felt, and also we used the HBCU partners themselves helped us design the program. So when it launched in fall 2020, so last September, we had 22 US interns and 17 of them were HBCU students. So that was incredible. It far exceeded, we were like nervous. We didn't know how the pilot would go. It far exceeded it. And like I said, it ended up being this crazy number where 77% of our interns were HBCU students and 91% were BIPOC students. So we also, of course, not even just HBCU, we had a really high number of diverse US interns, something we're really proud about. Before we established this program, it wasn't bad. It was like 43%, I think. But obviously the creation of this diversity pipeline like blew that number out of the water. And so we were like, we realized we were onto something here and that we could really focus on continuing to build out this HBCU program while starting to develop other MSI pipelines as well, like the Latinx pipeline, Latinx HSI pipeline, which we've just launched this spring. So we'll have our first Latinx HSI pipeline students coming in this summer. And then we hope to again continue to expand and develop that to other MSIs over the next about year to 2 years. But this was our HBCU pilot program, something we're really proud of. And with Brittany's help and a couple other HBCU alums, we're continuing to develop out even more. So here's kind of the nuts and bolts of the program that usually universities and colleges are interested in. So we kind of run on a 3-cycle program or 3-cycle rhythm. So it kind of follows the semester system. So we have a spring cycle, which is what we're in now, our really big, normally really big summer cycle. And that's when most interns normally go international as well as domestic here in the US. Unfortunately, because of our friend COVID, our international internships are still paused, but we're hoping to reopen those either in the fall or next spring. So those will be coming back. And then our fall cycle as well. And here's again some fine print. There's a whole lot of words on here, but again, the time frame are those kind of 3 cycles, spring, summer, and fall. In terms of payment, we pay our interns about $15 an hour. We figure if that's how much Target is paying, that's definitely how much we should be paying at MercyCorps. So that's kind of our baseline. So for full-time, which we consider anywhere between 25 and 40 hours, they receive $2,600 a month, which is $15 an hour. And then if they do part-time, which is 10 to 20 hours a week, that's of course half of that, $1,300 a month. When our international internships are running, we also, in addition to that stipend, we also try to always provide airplane tickets and guest house accommodations. It's really our goal for our internships to be 0 cost to our students. We can't, sometimes there's a little bit of cost. We can't fully guarantee 100%, but we try to get as close to that as possible, especially for the international interns. To be eligible to be a MercyCorps intern, you either need to be enrolled at a university, so you could be at any level. You could be an undergrad, master's degree. We even have a few PhDs, if you can believe it, like 3 a year. You just have to be enrolled at a university or recently graduated. So about a year, like we have a little bit of wiggle room. Sometimes, especially in COVID, we've accepted up to 2 years just because the job market's really weird. So you can kind of be in that little dip in between. But the vast majority of our interns are actually enrolled at a university. And I'll skip the deliverables. That's more, you know, when we're creating scopes of work for interns, how that works. And I'll skip consultancies too. But the last main thing I wanted to say was that we do accept international students. So if you are an international student on like an F1 or a J1 visa or an OPT, you can definitely still be a MercyCorps intern with us. And that's it. I just wanted to roll through that really quickly, just because it usually covers a lot of the kind of basic questions people ask. And I really just want to spend the most time answering questions from you guys and hearing a little bit more about your programs and what you guys are looking for. Yeah, so I just want to open it up to you.
So I heard you mention the F1 and J1 visas and the OPT. Do you all accept the CPT as well?
That is a really good question. You know, I remember CPTs from when I worked at a university in New York. We have not had any of those, interestingly enough, since I've come to MercyCorps. But if you have a specific student that's interested, that's something I could definitely check up on with our HR department.
Okay, thank you.
You stumped me on one. I haven't been stumped in a long time, Rachel, right out of the box. Thank you. That's okay.
Hi there. I have a quick question. I have to log off because I have another conflict, but quick question before I leave. How many applicants do you receive each year? And then what is your acceptance rate?
Oh my gosh, how many applicants? I don't even know. Thousands and thousands, like a lot. Okay. Our MercyCorps internships are definitely very competitive. You know, our MercyCorps jobs are very competitive as well, but I would say a lot of our internships get 100, 150 applicants. That's part of the reason we developed these pipelines, was to have a more direct channel for students at MSIs into the agency. So it really depends on whether they applied to like a broad internship open to everyone, or they applied to one of our diversity pipelines. If they apply to one of the diversity pipelines, there's definitely a greater chance because it's really just sectioned off for that diversity pipeline. So I know that's not an easy answer, but I would say if there are any strong students that have applied that you know of at your school, reach out to me, let me know. I can definitely share, I would love to share my contact info with you guys. And we will definitely let that team know that a strong partner has recommended a student. And that's another really good way for them to get a closer look, for sure.
Okay, great. And I want to stay on because I see Carmen added a question about, you know, what helps a student stand out. So I'm trying to get everything in before I leave.
That's great. I'm so bad at James knows this. I am so bad at checking the chat. And I think Brittany knows this from another event I did last week. So you guys help me if there are questions in the chat I don't look at. What helps a student stand out? What I said before, honestly, MercyCorps is really relationship oriented. So as much as possible, if you can connect them to me, I can't always do one-on-ones with everyone, but even just knowing they're out there and you recommend them, that recommendation passed on to the team from contact with the within a university goes a long way. And then more broadly for the actual students, you know, kind of clean, tightly designed resumes. They don't have to be like works of art, but like clean, easy to read, easy to understand, relevant work experience, right? So if we can see like any interest in like a certain region or a certain country or a certain language, that's really important, or a certain skill set. Strong communication skills, cover letter. So many applicants have gotten away from cover letters. It's a big deal. I really recommend they include it. It's definitely not required, but that will make you stand out for sure. It doesn't have to be long, 2 paragraphs, well written. We're mostly just trying to see how well they communicate. Strong multicultural skills, right? They'll be working with people from all over the world. So a really high level of acuity when it comes to working with people from all different kinds of backgrounds. And any language skills they have. So they don't need to be fluent or proficient, even if people are basic in Spanish. We just want to see that interest and that hunger there. So those are the big ones I would recommend. Yeah, thanks, Casey.
Christine, Suzanne had a question about our summer cycle and what's happening in terms of virtual versus in-person internship opportunities.
Thank you, James, for letting me know that I missed things, because I definitely do. Yes, so we're still virtual at MercyCorps because again of our friend COVID. So it's kind of it's kind of like a pro-con. So we definitely feel like being in person, you get the most immersive experience, you can connect to the most people. But on the flip side, while we have to be remote during COVID, I mean, it's actually helped us develop these diversity pipelines, right? Because there would be obviously an added cost to a lot of teams to fly interns and house them. And so the fact that we can reach out to so many more students in the US from HBCUs, from HSIs, from other MSIs during this remote period is actually, it's an unexpected asset. So yes, it's remote this summer still. We're hoping in the fall, we can't guarantee, but we're hoping that it will go back to being a mix. It's normally a mix of in-person and remote. But yes, it will be virtual this summer. And again, you know, we can't totally recreate that immersive experience, but James and Brittany and I try as much as possible to have events. We have intern engagement events about once a week to once every other week to really make sure they can connect to other teams at MercyCorps, really understand international development at large, and have lots of one-on-one time to connect with recruiters as well, or alums, other alums.
I have a question. How many law students, or do you have any applicants from the law schools or from law schools?
Great question. We normally do. We're actually in the process of our general counsel changing right now. So that's part of the reason we haven't had one over the last year. But we're hopeful there should be a new one coming on. And once we do have our general counsel in place, we usually have 1 to 2 law interns a year.
And how will the interns for law school apply for maybe an intern? Well, we call them externships, which is used interchangeably. But how would they apply for this, for an externship or an internship?
Yeah, so all of our internships are on our website when they're posted. So you can check them out there. Again, they're really competitive, and sometimes they're only up for like a week because they get so many applications. So the biggest thing I would tell your students is keep your eye on them. Apply as soon as you see one that you feel connected to, that you feel resonates with you. Obviously, if you're a law student, apply to the law one, and apply as quickly as possible, because a lot of times they're not there, as Carmen can attest, because she sees them go up. They're not there very long sometimes. So yeah, but you would see that one. And I would anticipate there won't be a law one for this summer, but I do anticipate they'll probably come back for the fall. So around July, August, that's probably when the next law one would be posted, I would anticipate.
I would also add to that, if you have not already and you are representing a historically Black college or university, to please send an email to Christine so that we can keep you in the loop for that, for the HBCU pipeline. We definitely want to continue building that out. And Kathy had a question in the chat, excuse me, that says, would study abroad alums have a competitive advantage in the application process?
Very great question. And the answer is a resounding yes, for sure. You know, whenever we can, it goes along with that international curiosity and international hunger. So whenever we can see students who have gone to study abroad anywhere, I mean, it doesn't matter where they go, we start to see like a real alignment in them having an interest in global affairs. So absolutely any international experience, whether that's study abroad, whether that's anything, I tell students, don't shy away. If you went on a mission trip, you know, if you backpacked across Nepal for a summer, we really want to see that you have that interest in the world outside of the US. So for sure, put all international experience, including study abroad, on there.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah, and to echo Brittany again, yes, especially if you're from an HBCU, we have separate HBCU, I mean, they're on the website, but we have HBCU internships. So it will indicate HBCU, whatever it might be, policy and advocacy intern. So please, please, please have your students apply to those and let us know. Please, please, please send my contact info. Sorry, I don't know why there's like a radio behind me. My fiance left the room. But please, please, please let us know if you have a strong student who's applied, and we can pass that on to the team. So they would be eligible for our HBCU internships, and then of course our broad internships open to everyone. But thanks, Brittany, for clarifying that, because we really are building out our HBCU pipeline, and we want to get more HBCU students from beyond our 10 partners into the mix.
And I can attest to it, the MercyCorps jobs LinkedIn page posts opportunities all the time. So that's another great way to get stuff in a timely manner that's a little more automated than checking their page. Much as I love you all, I don't check your page every day.
I know. I wish we could come up with a better way to describe it. I do try, every time we post a new internship, I put it up on my LinkedIn, and I put it on, there's a MercyCorps Global Internship LinkedIn. So I put it up there as well. So I'd keep your eye on LinkedIn, or tell your students to keep their eyes on LinkedIn. keep your eye on our website. And then for the HBCU specific internships and for the HSI internships, I send those out directly to our partners in an email as well.
We also post on Handshake. And I believe that there's a way for students to follow specific employers when job opportunities become available. Don't quote me on that. But I believe that that is a possibility to be able to follow certain employers.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, James. I really, really appreciate you bringing up Handshake too, because I know that's a big way that so many schools also track all of the internships that are coming their way. So thanks, James, for reminding me. We also put all of our internships on Handshake as well.
Excuse me. Go ahead.
Is Handshake the only site you post on? Because we have Purple Briefcase, which works like Handshake. So that's our communication too. So I can send an invite and you can also post on it. It's the same way you post to Handshake, you could post to Purple Briefcase.
Yeah, I know there's several others out there that we always hear from. Yeah, please just send us the information. Some of it is just a capacity issue, right? We have so many internships and we're posting on our own website, we're posting on Handshake, we're posting to LinkedIn, so for one internship, we can only post to so many places. So we're trying to go places where we can hit the most people. So what I'd recommend, send us the info so we can look at it for sure. But what I'd recommend is when I send the email out to all of our partners, if they can distribute that, we recommend they distribute that as well among the correct, the most closely connected departments and students, so we can come at it from cross purposes as well.
So what I'll do is I'll see, because I'm not sure. We just got because this is my first time hearing of this program, so I'm not sure if you have one of our contacts. So I'll make sure you have the contacts, because that would work as well. If you send it that way, I could post it. So that would work as well.
Carmen, is there a way to get easy way to get the email addresses of everyone who's on the call? Okay, that would be really great if you could send that over. And then I will really quickly, my computer's working.
So when all of you registered, one of the questions was, may we share your contact information with the speakers? If you happen to have picked no and would like to change your mind, just send me a message. Otherwise, you're good to go. And I will make sure Christine and team have all of that after this. But you're obviously free to change your mind. So let me know if you have.
And Carmen, please feel free to share my contact information as well. But I'd especially love to get all of you guys, all your contact info so we can put you in our distribution list. And especially those of you from MSIs that we can put you on our partner list as well for these diversity internships.
And for those of you who actually read my Friday emails, hopefully you all get my Friday emails. I usually, when I can, include a paragraph if there is a timely op from MercyCorps, just like the other internships that I post in that digest. And if you have no idea what I'm talking about, email me later and I'll explain.
Thanks, Carmen.
One question I have, and may sound sort of crazy, but how would a university become partners with?
Yeah, no, that's not crazy. That's not crazy at all. I'm just saying that very colloquially, but I didn't explain that at all. So no, thank you. So essentially when I say partners, that's specifically referring to MSIs. So we try to create, that's part of trying to create these pipelines, these very specific pipelines with these MSIs. So again, right now we have an established HBCU pipeline, an established Latinx HSI pipeline, and then we're hoping to develop other very specific pipelines as well. But in the meantime, we call the schools that are closely connected with us for those opportunities, those pipeline opportunities, we call them partners. So that's what I'm talking about. So if you're at an MSI, be sure to let me know, and then that's all you have to do. If you're interested, then you'd become one of our partners. So it's not very hard. Who else out there? Did I miss a question? Oh, go ahead.
I have a question. There seems to be one internship that's not an HBCU one on your website now. So like if we were to repost that in our system, we always have to put a deadline, but you don't have a deadline listed and you said things move quickly. I guess, like, how do we know what to do with that?
Yeah, it's hard. I don't have a perfect answer for you. We don't put deadlines because really every internship is different. So some of them are open sometimes weeks, like it takes them a long time to get to 150 or 200, or sometimes they don't even get there at all. They still get a lot. They'll probably get like 50 or 75. And other ones, for whatever reason, they're like fire, and in 3 days they can get to be 200. So it's really hard for us to put deadlines. 200 is about the max that we would ever allow it to go to, because that's already so many applications to go through. So I don't have a perfect answer for you, but I'd say that, we try to keep our diversity pipeline internships open longer just to give more people opportunities. And the internships that are broadly open to everyone, we keep those open again until they hit that max number. So I'd say on average, James, what do you think? Like a week? Most of those it takes about a week to get to 150 or so, right?
Yeah. I would say the more specialized internships tend to be up a little longer because there's naturally a smaller student pool who are interested and qualified for these very specialized internships. But the broader internships, the communications internships, some policy and advocacy internships, some peace building internships, those tend to get a lot of volume very quickly. And Christine may have mentioned this already, but one of our commitments at MercyCorps is to reviewing every single application that comes in. So we want to ensure for our intern managers that it's not a prohibitive process for them, given that they do agree to reviewing every single application that comes in, which is why we cap it at 150 to 200.
Yeah, we don't have the machines at MercyCorps. That's a big part of, again, our commitment to everyone who applies. So we truly do go through every single application by hand. And we found that 150 to 200 is about what you can do before your brain melts. So that's where we get that number. But yeah, I'd say aim for about a week for those broad ones. I think that's a good rule of thumb. That's about how long those are usually at.
And Christine, a couple of questions have come in the chat. First, you mentioned a hunger to learn as a key trait, but also experience in areas to which they are applying. Are there effective ways you've seen students link experiences that are seemingly outside international development to what you're looking for example, service or retail positions?
Yeah, exactly. Really great question. Was that you, Carmen? Thank you. That was a great question. Yeah, I mean, a lot of times it kind of depends. When you have undergraduate students, it's hard. It's like hard I remember making my first resume and it was so awkward, right? Because I was like a waitress at my parents' favorite restaurant, but I did have these larger, when I say kind of hunger, I did have these larger curiosities. I always was kind of like a black sheep growing up, kind of hungry for this international kind of through this international lens. And so it's hard to create a resume for the first time out of that. But I'd say as much as possible, it kind of depends. When you if you're in graduate school, it's a lot easier. You have a little bit more experience, academic experience. But I'd kind of frame things as relevant work experience, or just even, you could have a whole separate category that's like relevant experience or volunteering, right? So a lot of times through that, we'll be like, oh, well, this person, may work at Krispy Kreme donuts, but look at this. They've been, volunteering at the soup kitchen for 4 years, right? And that's what we're going to be most interested in. And, look at this. They're in this international club, or they're in this, Spanish club or something, whatever it might be at their school. So even if it's tiny little seeds, little bites that are coming out of high school into college, put those volunteer experiences, put those travel experiences, those mean a lot. Those sometimes actually even mean more to us than whatever your work experience is when you're an undergrad.
This is a really great opportunity for them to shine in their cover letter, to really provide that substantive narrative that a one-page resume really can't capture effectively. For this transferable experience from volunteer experience, from student leadership, from interest areas that are demonstrated, I think that this is really where we see promising students shine in their cover letters.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, James. And I echo that very strongly. I've had, I've also, and James has as well, been a recruiter for jobs at MercyCorps as well. And sometimes I will see like a resume that is okay, but it seems like it doesn't all click together. And I normally, if I just looked at the resume, I'd probably rule them out. And then I look at the cover letter though, and they weave together the story that suddenly makes their resume, I look at it with completely different eyes and I'm like, oh, I get it. I see it now. And that's happened to me time and time again. So again, they're a pain in the butt. I know, I know nobody likes writing cover letters, but they really, really do unlock your personal connection to this particular role and your background. So those 2 paragraphs can sometimes really, really, really connect the dots for the recruiter that's looking at your application.
Carmen had another question in the chat. Can you talk about the timeline for an application or an applicant after they submit their application?
Yeah. Thank you. Another great one from Carmen. Carmen knows all the good ones. Yes. So once somebody submits an application, like I said, depending on how high the volume is for that one, as soon as that team is like waves the white flag, like please take it down, no more, we can't take any more applicants. Then what will happen is they'll shortlist it. So they'll probably, however many applied, 150, 50, whatever it might be, they'll shortlist that to about 8 to 10. And then they'll kind of, again, get some other people on their team to give input, and they'll probably take it down to about 4 or 5. So they'll reach out to about 4 or 5 people for interviews. There's usually only one interview for an internship. They might ask for a writing sample, not always, but they might, depending on the kind of internship. And then they select from there. So I say it's usually 3 weeks to a month, I'd say, something like that. That's a good rule of thumb for them. So between the time you see it or apply and the time somebody is selected and getting ready to start is usually about 3 weeks to a month. As we get closer to the beginning of summer, though, that timeline shortens because teams put up internships really fast, select someone really fast, and wants them to start. But I'd say the average is about 3 weeks to a month.
I have a question for our attendees. I'm just curious to know, is there anything that MercyCorps can do to be a bit more front of mind for you all when you're discussing opportunities that are available for them in international development?
Thanks, Brittany.
I would say it would be great if maybe, especially with the Zooms and things like that, maybe sometime next semester we could have you all Zoom into like a classroom, because international travel that's paid for, where you'd be able to help people, is always attractive to students.
Yes, I think that would be great. We've actually talked about that for our HSIs in the fall as well. I think once actually everyone hopefully is vaccinated and things open up and travel channels open up as well, those kinds of student overviews and student connections, so they get an idea of what's out there, how MercyCorps works, what MercyCorps offers, I think would be great. So yes, I think that would be wonderful, wonderful for sure, and something we'd be really interested in. Anyone else out there? Ways that things we should keep in mind, things we can do to help engage with you guys?
Agree, like similar, like some kind of information session for students. I know you're probably doing that with specific schools. I actually have, the reason I came to this is because I saw you were doing one with one of our a similar school to us. So something that's more open to all students, or taking groups of schools. I can understand why it might be hard to go to every single school. Like you can't do that. But you know, groupings of schools, and we can certainly help with the public policy schools. So that's how students hear about organizations that they maybe wasn't on their radar before.
Yeah, absolutely. In addition to these, we also definitely do broad university presentations. I did one for Harvard last week. I did one for Duke 2 weeks ago. So we definitely do those as well, for sure. So especially for you guys at Baruch, who again are working with a really diverse population and much more broadly, I'd love to get you guys in that loop as well, for sure.
That'd be great.
All right, I think we have a few more minutes if folks do want to jump in, but I want to invite all of you also. We will be having more sessions like this, particularly as the summer rapidly winds down, including some of the ways that your students can get some of that international experience, different ways to pay for study abroad, some of the big fellowship programs, to come answer your questions about those as building blocks towards competing for the amazing program MercyCorps has just shared with us. So I look forward to seeing you at those future events. And again, hopefully the emails we share every Friday with all of those opportunities make it easy for you to plug some international work into your students' lives, and hopefully pave the way for them to join us in so many of the different possibilities within international affairs. Thank you, Christine. Thank you, Brittany. Thank you, James, for all of your great wisdom. And thank you so much to all of you for spending an hour with us. We look forward to seeing you and your students at future APSIA events. So glad to have you all here. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you. And if you could please share my contact info and share their contact with us, that would be great.